And the Fourth Amendment provides that if you have to indicate with specificity what you're looking for. So I want to see that affidavit indicating why they went into his safe, why they went into his wife's clothing closet, why they seized all the things they seized, and why they didn't get a subpoena. The answers will be in that affidavit, and that's probably why the Justice Department wants to withhold it.
What was the FBI looking for at Donald Trump's house, and what is Trump going to do about it? The story has many, many sides here. Merrick Garland supporters who praise his actions and others who think he blew it. And then on the Trump end, those who are angry that he may have brought on more trouble for himself and for his potential campaign. And those who are now more than ever ready to push back and support him. Professor Alan Dershowitz is joining us now to help his understanding of what's going on, to offer some kind of a perspective. Professor, good to see you. Thanks for joining us.
Well, thanks. Let me first set out my general political perspective. I am not pro-Trump. I voted against him twice. And one reason I don't want to see him disqualified from running on unconstitutional grounds is I have the constitutional right to vote against him for the third time, just as people have the constitutional right to vote for him. And I don't want to see a bureaucrat or an attorney general or a judge amend the Constitution to impose additional criteria for who can run for president. The president has to be 35, and he has to be born in America. He has to not have fought in the Civil War against the Union, and he has to not have been convicted and disqualified after impeachment. None of those apply. So Trump can run, and I'm going to vote against him.
He can run again, even from a jail cell, correct?
He can run from a jail cell. Mayor Curley did that in Boston, Massachusetts. I don't think he's going to run from a jail cell, but I don't think Congress or the administration has a constitutional basis for preventing him from running. Only the people can stop him if they don't vote for him.
We have now all seen the search warrant that was the basis of this FBI raid on Mar-a-Lago. We have not seen the affidavit leading to the search warrant, and the FBI does not want us to see that. It wrote to the court, quote, if disclosed, the affidavit would serve as a roadmap to the government's ongoing investigation, providing specific details about its direction and likely course in a manner that is highly likely to compromise future investigative steps. In addition, information about witnesses is particularly sensitive, given the high-profile nature of this matter and the risk that the revelation of witness identities would impact their willingness to cooperate with the investigation. What's your reaction to that?
They always say that, and they're not telling the truth. Ultimately, the affidavit will be disclosed because Trump doesn't oppose it being disclosed. It will be redacted. There will be names left out. The government always claims secrecy. Look, for years I've had a principle. I just wrote a new book called The Price of Principle, all about my principles and how sticking to them has gotten me canceled in a lot of contexts. But one of my principles is if you have two people or two groups opposing each other, and one is in favor of the truth coming out, and the other one is in favor of withholding the truth, generally be the one who wants to have the truth come out. So I want to see that affidavit. You can redact it, fine. But I want to know what they were looking for. Were there nuclear secrets? Why didn't they have a search warrant months ago? Why, even after they got the search warrant, did they wait 3 days before they went in? Why did they have a subpoena? Why didn't they enforce the subpoena? These are all questions that every American is entitled to ask without regard to what your politics are or whether you're liberal or conservative.
Now to the search warrant itself. Andrew McCarthy has repeatedly made the case that the search warrant was so broad that it amounts to a fishing expedition. Do you agree with that sentiment?
Well, I would use constitutional terms. It results in a general warrant. It's exactly what the Fourth Amendment was intended to prevent. The British used to have general warrants. And the Fourth Amendment provides that if you have to indicate with specificity what you're looking for. So I want to see that affidavit indicating why they went into his safe, why they went into his wife's clothing closet, why they seized all the things they seized, and why they didn't get a subpoena. The answers will be in that affidavit, and that's probably why the Justice Department wants to withhold it.
That statement that the FBI made, and which I just read, also goes on to say that it would likely chill future cooperation by witnesses whose assistance may be sought as this investigation progresses. And this is the key phrase here, as well as other high-profile investigations, suggesting that perhaps this truly is a fishing expedition. They're looking at several investigations, several potential cases here.
Yeah, and they're probably also looking to see if they can find evidence of January 6th violation. Look, if it's just classification and it's just papers that were locked in a sealed area in boxes, which the government knew all about, they had seen them, this is not going to be seen by many Americans as justifying the kind of all-out raid that has occurred. So what the government is suggesting is there's more to it than that. Well, if there is, we don't know about it. There shouldn't be secrets in a government. If they have particular reasons for not disclosing the name of a witness, let them go to the court, and the court will allow that to be redacted. But the vast majority of the affidavit should be released to the public.
I want to get your perspective on another piece of recent information. We now know for a fact that the FBI did, in fact, take his or confiscate his passports, both expired and presently effective ones. And then now the news has come out that they've returned them. What do you make of that?
Well, they shouldn't have seized them. This is not an investigation of overseas travel. It's an investigation of boxes that came from the White House to Mar-a-Lago. So there was no reason for seizing the passports. Now, maybe the excuse is that the passports were in a box somewhere and they seized the box. And that's exactly why they ought to go by subpoena, because subpoenas require specificity. We want this document, we want that document. Then the judge can go over each document and say, this one was never classified, this one was declassified, this one is still classified, this one is subject to executive privilege, lawyer-client privilege, this one maybe have a Fifth Amendment issue about production. But when you just sweep everything, you get passports as well. And that's exactly what the specificity requirement of the Fourth Amendment was intended to avoid.
In that response from DOJ to the motion to unseal the affidavit, we also learned that other witnesses are potentially going to be interviewed. Would you suspect that that might be his family members, perhaps some of his children?
Oh, I'm sure they're going to cast a very, very wide net. Probably people on the White House staff, probably relatives. But, you know, when that happens, it's by subpoena, and each of the people can go to court and seek to quash the subpoena. That's the way it's supposed to work. Search warrants are unusual. Even the Justice Department, through Garland, announced that the usual policy is to seek less intrusive methods than a general search. But they didn't do that in this case. They were working with an app, with a subpoena, and they could have just enforced the subpoena. They could have gone to court and said, look, we've been negotiating over the subpoena for a couple of months. We're not satisfied. Enforce it. And then they could have enforced it. There was no need for a search warrant. There was no immediacy. These boxes have been laying around now for months, and the Republic has not fallen. So there has to be a justification, and we just haven't seen it yet. Maybe there is. Maybe suddenly an emergency arose. Maybe, who knows what they thought they would find. But right now, it seems like they knew what was in there. They had the information for months and months and months, and then suddenly decided to go on a raid. I don't think that seems justified on the basis of what we know.
We're completely out of time. I've gone over, but what do you expect to see next, if you could answer quickly?
Motions by the defense to return, suppress, and go through each of these individuals. And I think in the end, we will see the affidavit revealed redacted.
Professor Emeritus of Harvard Law School, Alan Dershowitz, thanks very much for your time. Always appreciate it. Please come back, help explain what's going on to us as this thing evolves.
Always. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Doug McKelway, and thank you for watching Centerpoint. We hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and tap the bell icon so you're notified every time a new video is posted. Leave a comment below and keep the conversation going by sharing this video with a friend who needs to see it. Thanks for watching. We'll see you back here tomorrow.